elated to once again open our doors to host a Veterans Day program in which we are so blessed to have some veterans with us. So Tigers, today, I just ask that you remember, when we start our day every day, we say our Tiger Pledge. And one of those expectations is respect. Today is a day in which we honor or respect our veterans. So welcome to our students, staff, parents, veterans. We are so glad to have you here today. Mr. Barnett will be leading us through this wonderful presentation, so I'm going to turn the attention to Mr. Barnett. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. We had a little sound glitch as we started this morning, so hopefully you can hear me. So it's always my honor to be a part of this program that some folks have put together. We'll recognize those at the end, but I want to thank you so much, and I know you will show your appropriate respect. I always go get a mic in front of me. I usually go off script just a little bit. My apologies to anyone. Here's what I want to do before we start, because definitely I want to welcome our veterans and their families. This program is for you and all those who have served. Definitely that is the case. But what is always interesting to me is I want you to quietly do this for me. If you have someone who currently or in the past in your family, students who've served, and teachers and staff who served in the military, uncle, grandparent, grandma, aunt, uncle, cousin, if you would quietly stand up, please. And what I like to point out to you and our veterans, so not only is this program for you as we're honoring you today, but we're honoring our community. Look at this community has a great commitment of service to our country. And so as much as it is for our veterans that are with us today, this program is for you and your family, so I know you will give it the appropriate attention and respect it deserves. So you may have a seat, please. Thank you. And I do have one more off-script announcement I'm going to make. I hope you won't be upset with me that I do it. I have learned that we have a World War II veteran who is in our presence today. And for those of us who think about that, know that we are very fortunate to have the benefit of a World War II vet amongst us. So if you would please, and he may rise or not at his choice, but I want to make sure we specifically give Mr. Bud Becker a round of applause today. Thank you very much for indulging me, and I don't think he was mad at me, so I appreciate that. So thank you very much. So at this time, we need to present our colors. And at this time, I'm going to ask you here in just a moment to please stand quietly and respectfully as our color guard presents our colors as well. Our color guard members are Brian Brock, Will Yeager, Tyler Rout, and Henry Stanger. So what we're also going to do is remain standing as they get in position and post. We will remain standing until they post the colors, and we will also do our Pledge of Allegiance during this time as well. So at this time, I invite the color guard to present our colors. At this time, please join in saying our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
remain standing as our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade will be leading us in singing our national anthem. Please remain standing as the color guard posts the colors. Thank you, and you may be seated. Can we give our color guard a big round of applause, please? Their work and their performance is certainly a model of respect and a good example of that for us today, so we certainly appreciate it. At this time, I have the pleasure of introducing to you our guest speaker today. Our guest speaker is Captain Robert Stanley. He is commander of the 1413 Engineer Company, and he happens to be the father of Olivia and Josie Stanley. Would you please give a warm Tiger welcome to Captain Robert Stanley.
Good morning, Sunman Tiger students and staff. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share with you my thoughts about Veterans Day. So my name's Bob Stanley. I've lived in Sunman now, I don't know, for the past 15 years since I graduated high school. I live about 3 miles from here. As Mr. Barnett mentioned, I have 2 daughters that are in class with you right now in the stands. And my oldest daughter is now a mean high school girl at East Central, Kaylin Stanley. She was here, I don't know, what's it been, 5 or 6 years ago. So, Sunman's near and dear to our hearts, and I appreciate this opportunity to be here. So, I am a captain in the United States Army. My experience is in engineering, right? So, the engineering branch for an officer includes things like blowing up bombs, clearing routes, all kinds of cool stuff that you see on the movies. But what it also includes is things like general construction, really, which is where my background is and what I've been doing for the past 10 years in the Army. I'm a veteran of 2 wars. I've been to Operation Inherent Resolve in Iraq, as well as Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. And currently, as Mr. Barnett said, I'm a company commander of the 14th, 13th Engineers, and it's my job to ensure that they're trained and ready for any mission that we're called to complete. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about why I think Veterans Day is so important, right? So unlike some other countries in this world where military service is required, in the United States, you have to raise your hand and voluntarily accept the risk to join the service, right? So I'm going to explain that a little more to you guys. What that means is in countries across the world, when you turn a certain age, you're required to join the service for a specific amount of time. It's expected, there's no way out of it. You have to go do that. Here in America, it is completely voluntary. You assume all of those risks, no one forces you to do it. You raise your hand and you go and protect this country, which is what makes it so special and what makes all veterans so deserving of praise, regardless of the conflicts they may have seen or what exactly they did during their time, because they were prepared to do them. All right, so what makes us assume those risks, right? So that's the next thing I want to talk about, and it's specific to me, but there's a lot of reasons, okay? So in the service, believe it or not, we do get paid to be in there. There's pay and benefits that come along with being in the military. These guys will probably attest it's not the best, but it's something. There's also trainings. Who doesn't want to learn how to shoot a machine gun or a grenade launcher or drive a tank, right? There's some cool stuff you get to do in the military depending on the job that you pick. A big one for a lot of people is friendships. I'm sure a lot of the students here are active in sports. You may be on a sports team and you develop friendships with your team because you want to win and you work together to win. But there's nothing that compares to the friendships and the bonds that take place when you're in a combat zone with the people around you and the goals that you're trying to accomplish. But the biggest thing for me, and I think the biggest thing for a lot of veterans in small towns like Sunman, is pride in where you're from, okay? My family has a pretty long background in military service, and I wanted to continue that, but it's also about being proud of where you're from. It was amazing to me how many students stood up when Mr. Barnett asked for you guys to stand up for anyone you had, if you had anyone in your family that served. And that's something you should all be very, very proud of, and that's really what drove me to the service, was pride. It's a biased opinion, but America, Indiana, and Sunman are the best country, state, and town there are, in little towns like Sunman all over Indiana, because of the rich history of military service and the support from the community of the people that join it. There's some heroes from Sunman, Indiana, I don't know that you guys are aware of. Tony Sieg was from Sunman, Indiana. He was in Iraq in 2006 and unfortunately died of a rocket attack. He's a hero. He grew up 3 miles from here. That's a hero from this town of Sunman, Indiana. And there's stories like that all over this state and the Midwest from heroes like Tony who weren't able to come back. So I'll close with this. Be proud of where you're from. If everyone who stood up, and even if you didn't stand up for a family member in service, my guess is that you know someone who has served in the past or is currently serving. Regardless of the job that they had in the military, regardless of how many times they deployed to a combat zone or which campaigns they fought in, it could be 0. They still deserve your thanks because they voluntarily signed up and assumed the risk that come with wearing this uniform. So thank you all for letting me speak here today, and I appreciate the opportunity, and happy Veterans Day to all of you. Thank you.
All right, one more round of applause and a great big thank you to Captain Robert Stanley. At this time, you can see the 4th and 5th grade chorus getting into position. They will be honoring our veterans with a song entitled On Veterans Day. The words and music are by Carl Heitzelman, and of course, our chorus is directed by Mrs. Gast. Our 4th and 5th grade chorus. Thank you very much, Mrs. Gass, and the 4th and 5th grade chorus. How about one more big round of applause for them? Very excellent talent. Thank you very much. As they're making their way back to their seats, I have the honor of announcing our next presentation. As he is getting situated at the piano, I'll direct your attention to the piano where Henry Stanger has, our 5th grader here at Sundman, has taken his position. He will be playing the Marines Hymn, arranged by David Kling. Please give a round of applause for Mr. Henry Stanger. Thank you very much, Henry. One more time, Henry Stanger. next activity will be a flag folding ceremony. And during that ceremony, we'll have some of our students show us the proper ways and the etiquette to handle a flag. The flag is a symbol of lots of things: our freedom, our country, and of course all of those who have served and those who are currently serving. It stands for so much. So the ways that we handle it and the ways we treat it with respect also shows respect for all of those individuals as well. So at this time, we're going to have Isabella Doherty will be doing the flag folding reading, while we have Ryland Acree, Haley Gazelle, Lily Newkirk, Gracie Weber, Maggie Dowden, and Gwen Foki, who will be folding the flag. Let's give them a round of applause and your full attention.
A flag folding ceremony is a way to honor and show respect for the flag on special days like Veterans Day, Flag Day, Memorial Day, July 4th, or a military funeral. When an American flag is folded properly, there are 13 folds. Each fold represents the original 13 colonies of the United States and has specific meaning. Some folds symbolize freedom, life, where they pay tribute to mothers, fathers, and those who have served in the armed forces. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is in honor and remembrance of a veteran who gave a portion of his or her life for the defense of our country. The fourth fold represents the American citizens trusting in God in times of peace and war that we look for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces. They protect our country and flag against enemies. The eighth fold is a tribute to the person who entered the valley of the shadow of death, that they will see light, and to honor our mother. The flag flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to mothers. It is through their faith, love, loyalty, and devotion that has built the character of the men and women who have made this country great. The 10th fold is a tribute to fathers. He has given his sons and daughters for the defense of our country. The 11th fold represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon and glorifies the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold represents the emblem of eternity and glorifies God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The 13th fold and the last fold, when the flag is completely folded and the stars are facing up, reminds us of the national motto, "In God We Trust." And after the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, reminding us of soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, preserving the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
Thank you very much. These students are members of our local Girl Scout troop, so thank you for that reading and the folding of our flag, showing us how to do that and what that means. Can we get one more round of applause there out the door? Make sure they can hear you. At this time, we are going to have a salute to our armed forces. Members of some local Boy Scout troops, as well as some 5th grade boys, are going to be bringing in flags. The salute to armed forces is by Camp Kirtland, but we have Charlie Craig, Logan Bills, Michael Becker, Austin Pryor, Aiden Hester, and Brantley Weber. So we'll be listening to this song as they bring the flags in. Veterans, we would invite you, if you're willing and able to stand, when you hear the song that matches your branch of the service, we would encourage you to stand for that portion as the gentlemen bring our flag in. So at this time, will you please be prepared for the salute to the armed forces? At this time, Brantley Weber is marching in the Space Force flag. It is the newest branch of service that was created in December 2019. Currently, there's no anthem yet for the Space Force, but there is our newly formed Space Force flag. Troop will be participating in setting the white table as the book is being read aloud by Mrs. Walters. Again, the Girl Scouts participating are Rylan Acree, Isabella Doherty, Haley Gazelle, Lily Newkirk, Gracie Weber, Maggie Dowden, and Gwen Foki. America's White Table.
It's my honor to share this book with you today.
was just a little white table, but it brought tears of pride to my Uncle John's eyes. The Veterans Day that he came for dinner and stood by it, set for one person, even though nobody would be eating at it. It was just a little white table, but earlier that day, Mama had told Gretchen, Samantha, and me the little table we were setting for Veterans Day was just like the ones that have stood across America in the dining halls of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force since the Vietnam War ended. The table honors men and women who serve in America's armed forces, especially those missing in action, our MIAs, and those held prisoner of war, our POWs. It was just a little white table, but it felt as big as America when we helped Mama put each item on it, and she told us why it was so important. We use a small table, girls, she explained first, to show one soldier's lonely battle against many. We cover it with a white cloth to honor a soldier's pure heart when he answers his country's call to duty. We place a lemon slice and grains of salt on a plate to show a captive soldier's bitter fate and the tears of families waiting for loved ones to return, she continued. We push an empty chair to the table for the missing soldiers who are not here. We lay a black napkin for the sorrow of captivity and turn over a glass for the meal that won't be eaten, she said. We place a white candle for peace, and finally a red rose in a vase tied with a red ribbon for the hope that all are missing will return someday. Mama finished speaking just as sunlight spilled on the table and filled the overturned glass. It was just a little white table, but it suddenly made me want to burst with a feeling I couldn't explain when Mama told us how much our setting the white table would mean to Uncle John that night. And then she told us something we didn't know. Our Uncle John, who gave us big bear hugs and spun us with airplane twirls and called me his Katie girl, was a POW in Vietnam before we were born. It was just a little white table, but it gave us the courage to ask Mama what happened to Uncle John in Vietnam. She quietly told us his story. When Uncle John served in Vietnam, he was sent on a rescue mission, and his helicopter was shot down behind enemy lines, she began. And he and his 3 crew members were taken prisoner. One crew member named Mike had serious wounds from the crash, but Uncle John and the other men tried to help Mike get better and persuaded a guard to bring Mike medicine. And then one day, when a guard looked away, Uncle John and the others had a chance to escape. But Mike was still too sick to go. So Uncle John stayed behind because he wouldn't leave a fellow soldier alone so far from home. But how did Uncle John get free? We asked Mama. Sometime later, Uncle John had a chance to escape again, and somehow he was able to take Mike with him, carrying him on his back and collecting just enough rainwater in big leaves to keep them alive until Uncle John found an American infantry unit to help them. But even though Uncle John did everything he could to bring Mike home alive, Mike's wounds were just too serious, and he died before the rescue helicopter landed. I know that Mike was only 20 years old, and he dreamed of playing football, but he loved America enough to give his life for his country when duty called. And I know how much Uncle John loves America too. But he learned when helping Mike that a soldier risks his life for a fellow soldier because the best of your country lives in every man and woman who would lay down their life for you too. It was just a little white table, but it needed words of gratitude, like Mama's Thanksgiving meal. So before Uncle John arrived for dinner, Gretchen and Samantha and I decided to put 3 gifts of our own on the table to honor our veterans. Gretchen colored pictures of all the objects on the table, and Samantha wrote out the words of "My country 'tis of thee" as a tribute in song. But I didn't know what I, a 10-year-old girl, could ever put on the table that was as important as each veteran's gift of freedom to me. It was just a little white table, but I looked at it all dinner long, and in the quiet inside me, I could almost hear the silent soldiers at the empty chair saying, "Remember us, please. We are real people like your Uncle John and Mike, who left families and friends, homes and dreams of our own to protect your birthright of liberty from disappearing as easily as sunlight from a glass." It was just a little white table, but it took my words away when I hugged Uncle John goodnight, and I wanted to thank him for serving our country so bravely. So I just hugged him even harder and told him I loved him. Uncle John hugged me back even harder than I had hugged him. And that's when I knew what I could put on the table, my promise to put the words from my heart into a little book about America's white table. And in the book, I'd use Gretchen's pictures and Samantha's song and Mama's story about Uncle John and his friend Mike, because I hope that everyone who read it would set a white table on Veterans Day too, so the brave Americans, the little white table honors, won't ever feel forgotten by the country they loved so much. And then in the salt on the little white table, I traced in the grains of their families' tears what each man and woman who serves America is to me, a hero. And that's when I saw the tears of pride fill my Uncle John's eyes.
Thank you, Mrs. Walters and students. What an amazing message, and it's always important to remember that message while we look at this table and the symbol of it through the rest of our program today, or when you see it in any other place when you're out and about. At this time, we will have a laying of a wreath ceremony. Captain Robert Stanley will be laying our wreath. Connor Eckstein, a former Sudman student and a 10th grade East Central High School band member, will be playing taps for us. Ellie Wolf will be sharing the meaning of our wreath-laying ceremony prior to that. I would ask and invite you, when taps begins to play, if you would please rise to show your respect at that time as well. So if Ellie Wolf can come on down.
Special ceremonies on Veterans Day. One very important ceremony is held at the Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia, at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. In the year 1921, approval was given for the burial of an unidentified soldier from World War I. Written on the tombs are the words, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known only to God." At this time, we will pay tribute to all American soldiers who have died defending our freedom. We have Captain Robert Stanley with us today, who will do the honor of laying a wreath to pay tribute to the brave soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Please stand and remain quiet for the playing of taps. This shows respect for those who are in the military because This song is a farewell to those who have died in war.
Thank you, Connor, Ellie, and Captain Stanley for that presentation. At this time, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade will be singing a song entitled The Brave. It will be directed by Mrs. Guest. Excellent. One more big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for that great song. Appreciate it. So at this time, that brings us to the end of our program today. The first thing I would like to do as we begin to close today is I want to specifically thank everyone today who shared their talents. We had great performances from folks singing, to folks presenting readings, to our guest speaker, to everybody who had a part in the flag or the ceremony here, the white table ceremony. So if you would please, one more round of applause for everybody who shared their talents with us today. I'd also like to specifically thank and ask them to step into the gym, Mrs. Campbell, Mrs. Colton, and Mrs. Gass. These three ladies organized, planned, and created this great opportunity for us. Please give them a round of applause. At the same time, I'm sure there are many others who helped and supported them along the way, whose names I probably couldn't list all of them. So anybody who had any part, big or small, in helping this program be a successful reality today, thank you so much for everything you did to provide time, energy, or talent to this program. Students, I was standing here just a second ago looking up at you, and I want to thank you because I was amazed, not surprised, but amazed at how well you showed your respect today during our program. It tells me you understand the value and how important it is that our community, our country, and our veterans, and what they've done to serve us and keep us free in the past, and now we have members of the military serving abroad as we speak. So thank you very much for your respect. Give yourself a round of applause, please.
Mr. Barnett just said, beyond proud. I am beyond proud of the respect that you showed yourselves, your peers, your teachers, our guests. So thank you. I am a very proud principal today. That definitely teachers should be a dojo point for being respectful. Thank you. I turn it back over to Mr. Barnett.
I lobbied for a bunch of points. That was really good. But before we go, most importantly, the reason we are here today, if you would please, one more time, we want to thank our veterans, your families, for your commitment, your service, all you have done to make sure we can be free. Please stand up, get off your feet, give them a round of applause. Thank you, veterans. We love you, we appreciate you. Thanks for being here today. Thank you so much.
Seen the Lord.